Hello, Mahip. Welcome
Hey.
to the podcast today.
Yep. Hi.
How are you?
Good. Good. How are you?
Very good. So you are an electrical engineer at the National Innovation Center?
Electronics.
Electronics.
Yeah.
Okay.
A bit different from electrical.
Okay.
Electrical deals with the higher voltages and higher currents and stuff. We work on a little bit more on the circuit level. There's some programming also.
Okay.
A bit different.
Okay, so there's a distinction between electronics
yeah.
and electrical engineering.
Yeah, but like it goes hand in hand.
Okay.
I don't know like why they specialized on electronics and electrical at our university.
Okay.
So it's a bit different there.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Could you tell me a little bit about what the National Innovation Center is?
So it's a non-profit organization. So what we try to do is like we provide a platform for innovators and entrepreneurs to help them turn their ideas into a reality. So usually we have innovators with some sort of idea which eventually does something better. Or it solves a problem. It solves a particular problem. So what we do here is like we help them build it. Like we start from the ideation phase. They generate ideas. We work with them on generating the ideas first, and then we help them with tools, financial fundings, and all of the resources required.
Okay, so I thought it was interesting that you said that the center is like addressing specific problems. What are some of the problems it's addressing or the products that it's created?
So we started with the medical drone project. So it's a drone. It's an autonomous drone which delivers medicine in rural areas.
Oh, wow.
So how it does that is like it drops a small amount of payload. It could be some medicine. It could be some critical supplies in rural areas of Nepal. So you've trekked some places in Nepal.
I have,
right?
yes.
So you might have noticed like it's the roadways, like it's pretty much non-existent, right? Up after one point. So there are still health posts in those areas. So they need medicines.
Right.
So how are you going to get them in a speedy basis? So if you want something very urgently, so one of the fastest ways would be through the air, right? You could fly. If you could fly, it would be a very good proposition. So and also the roadways, they get pretty much disrupted because of these weather conditions.
Oh, like during the monsoon
Yeah,
landslides?
there are lots of landslides.
Right.
So you didn't encounter any, right? You didn't see any of them.
We saw a few.
You saw, right?
Yes.
It's pretty scary, like, yeah. And so what it does, like, it's like a last mile
Okay.
push for the medicine. So up to which the road goes, it's there, and we sort of like want to develop a network where we just deploy medicines from a central place to the health post.
Okay, so making sure that anyone can get access to medicine they need regardless of where they live.
So that was one of the starting projects, and that's how our chairperson, Dr. Mahip, he like started. And at first we had like almost an area of almost this room, and there were like 2 projects running there. And in 2018 or 19 we shifted to the TU premises, which you visited, right?
Yes.
So
yeah.
and there we like shifted, and like we were just picking up speed. We were working on some agriculture related projects, something which would optimize harvesting, something which would provide ease to the farmers. We were just starting on those things, and we were also working on some digital education related projects.
Okay.
And we were collaborating with lots of people during that time. And what happened, like at I think to the end of 2019 or so the pandemic, it hit the entire world. So and it hit Nepal also pretty bad. And then we started on the COVID pandemic response. So during that time we built around 13 different projects on the on how we could like mitigate the effect of the pandemic. So we started with the isolation booth, where like a patient, where like the swabs for the COVID test could be taken without like putting the takers on the risk. So that was one
Okay.
of the
So
starting
protective
projects.
equipment.
Yeah, protective equipment. There were tons of
Yeah.
personal protective equipments also.
Wow. Okay.
And I think that was the time we were like battling the COVID, and even our chairperson was saying like it's kind of like a war.
Yeah. So that was
between-
your priority.
Yeah,
at the
it
time.
was like we altered everything. There were lots of projects running. We altered everything, and everyone like came together. We had tons of volunteers. We were like getting tons of donations. We were getting support from all around the world, and we were like the focal point of the entire Nepal. And we distributed tons of oxygen concentrators. We also collaborated with Stanford University in building an open source ventilator. And there were lots of projects running during that time.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to visit the center on the TU campus the other day, and I was very impressed by the range of the products. There were, food items to COVID protective equipment to biomedical equipment. So is there a main focus of the center of what products it's trying to develop, or is it a pretty open range?
Yeah, it's a pretty open platform.
Okay.
So the goal right now is to like incubate as much as possible. So in order to generate a trend of innovation in Nepal.
Okay.
So Nepal, it lags so much on innovation and entrepreneurship. So we are just like importing tons of materials, tons of things which could be built in Nepal itself if we had the opportunity, if we had the resources. So here what we are trying to do, like we don't screen the innovators who come on a very strict manner. We just tell them like, okay, is it commercializable? How do you plan to commercialize it, and what good does it does? So if they just meet 2 or 3 criteria, so we just move ahead with the ideation and all the development phase.
Okay. And then one of these projects I know has had a lot of recent success, and that is the Nyano Nani, the baby warmer project that I believe you also worked on as well.
Yeah,
I know that recently won an award in the US. So could you tell me a little bit about what the baby warmer project is?
Okay, so like a couple of friends of ours, the team members of our current project, so they went to remote sites on assessing the status of the healthcare there.
Okay.
So what they found out was like there is a condition in which a baby who's newly born, it loses its body's heat very rapidly. So it's named as hypothermia. And over time, if the hypothermia isn't treated, so what happens is the baby eventually loses its life. So it's a pretty sad condition. So that was the pinpoint where the entire thing started. And there was a solution. There was a very effective solution on treating them. So if it loses heat, so you provide them external heat. So you do them in a controlled manner, right? So that the baby doesn't get harmed. So the biomedical engineers who were on the site, they were saying like, okay, there are existing devices which can treat them.
Right.
So why not build them in Nepal? Right?
Okay, so these devices weren't being built domestically in Nepal yet?
No.
Oh, wow, okay.
And till now, it's not being built domestically. So we are the first ones who built it. And we initially wanted to make an incubator. So it's closed care in comparison to the baby warmer. Baby warmer is much more like an open care system. So open care in the sense the medical professional who's treating the baby, they can assess the baby. They can see what the temperature is, how the baby is like, how the baby's condition is. So
okay, so it's more of an open setup.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Interesting.
at start, like we tried to build an incubator, and it was pretty challenging. There are lots of complicated engineering to be done. We tried for some time, and we like talked with some of the clinicians, and what they told us like, why don't you make an open care, which is an infant radiant warmer. So they are very much used in majority of the birthing places, in rural health posts. So if that is there, you don't need an incubator, and it's much more easier to make as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So then we shifted. So then we shifted from the incubator to the radiant warmer.
Okay, interesting that you're bringing in that feedback from the
Yeah.
medical community, even as you're constructing and like innovating new products.
Yeah, we are like in constant touch with the medical professionals because they are the end users, right?
Right.
So if you like cater to their needs, so there's a higher chance of getting success in your product. So it's pretty much true for all of the innovation what happens. So you just take like what is the problem. What is the exact problem that you are trying to solve, and you talk directly with the end users. So
Right.
that is how we are how we started it. And at that time, like we had, I think, 8 or 10 people in a room. We were working extensively, like everyone was working like focused on a single project, which like rarely happens. And we had like an harmony amongst each other. So everyone had their roles, all the way from product design to mechanical engineer, electronics, software. So it's an integrated system. You have different modules. So
Okay.
everyone had like their own job, and we were like pretty much self-organizing, and everyone was like willing to push make this product. So at the end of, I think, 2020, we made the first minimal viable product.
Wow.
So it had the basic features. So it had a heater, it had a pair of sensors. It would just take the temperature of the baby, then it would like provide the heat, like based on what the temperature of the baby is. So that was how we like made the MVP.
Yeah.
And throughout the years, like we have just been like tweaking it a little bit. We are providing like incremental like updates. So we like nailed the majority of the part on the MVP. Like
Okay.
we know how to program the control system. We know how the mechanical structure is going to be. So we did most of the important parts during that time.
All right, so already from 2020, it's being refined.
Yeah. We're just
Yeah, yeah.
refining, making small adjustments, fine tuning, like taking feedback, and that's how we're like building it.
Okay, yeah.
And,
Speaking with stakeholders, getting
yeah, of course.
Nice.
And then like we got an attraction of a bank. So they were like, okay, this is a good product and there's a need for this. So let's work together. And they started funding us through their CSR funds, which is a corporate social responsibility fund.
Okay.
So what banks have to do according to their regulations is like they have to provide at least 1% of their profit to the CSR fund, which is going to go for the social welfare.
Okay, so community oriented give back.
Yeah.
All right,
So the bank which proposed us, so it's Jyoti Vikas Bank.
Yeah.
So they approached us, and we were like we talked back and forth. We pitched a couple of ideas, and they liked our product, and they were like, okay, let's immediately like push like 10 units. So in 2021 we pushed the first 10 units, and thereafter like we like kind of got attraction from other peoples as well. They were like, okay, this is made in Nepal, so let's use it. So we have a product which is made in Nepal fully, so let's promote the product. So there was a lot of support.
Okay,
from the
interesting.
people. Yeah.
So today in 2022, where has the baby warmer been installed across Nepal, and how is it being received by local communities?
So till now we have 40 installations.
40 installations?
Yeah,
Wow.
throughout Nepal. We have covered 25 districts.
Okay.
So we are pretty spread across the Nepal, and a majority of the products have been like distributed through the bank, almost 60% of them.
Okay.
And the rest have been like crowdfunded. So
Oh, wow.
so like everyone is like understanding the need of radiant warmer and treating a baby who is newly born in a very low resource setting. So they are kind of like empathizing on the idea, like, okay, this is sort of like a compulsory equipment which a birthing center should have, because it's a very important care should be given.
Yeah.
That should be given to a baby.
How significant do you think it is, this particular technology, in addressing child mortality rates in Nepal?
So there are other factors also which like contribute to the infant mortality, but hypothermia is one of them, and it can be treated.
Hypothermia,
It can be treated. So that is one of the aspects. But another aspect is like a baby which has been kept in a radiant warmer and who has a good, who is thermally protected well, like tends to develop lesser diseases throughout its upbringing.
Okay, right. Interesting.
So it's both like a preventive as well as a curative disease.
And like long-term protection.
Yeah, it has a short-term as well as a long-term
Wow.
use.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what kind of strikes me as you talk about this project is how many people got behind it, both you and your colleagues, having so much involvement and attracting the attention of a bank and then other supporters. What do you think it is about this project in particular that makes people so interested?
Yeah. I think a majority of the attraction, it comes from the organization's name. Right, so we are non-profit, and the entire organization is crowd-funded by normal people. We don't have like very rich people. We don't have. We did have some philanthropists who helped us get started, but throughout the years, like we have been doing works on multiple fields, and we've been showing that if we get the resources, if we get the right people, we can do things. So one of the most attraction, it comes from the organization itself, and then like they see actually there's a need, so you need to like promote this product. And as I told you already, it's like it's built in Nepal, so there's a little bit more sentimental value to that.
Yes, and obviously the center has got so many positive goals in order to like give back and being crowdfunded, and promoting innovation.
Exactly.
Interesting. Stepping back a little bit, can I ask how you got involved in the National Innovation Center? It's obviously an organization that you care a lot about.
Yeah, so I was there in Bangalore.
Okay.
So I was working there as a product development engineer there. So just after my bachelor's, I was there for around 1.5 years or so. And then like I was just checking up like what I was a bit disconnected from Nepal. I was coming back to Nepal every now and then, but I didn't know like what else is happening there. And I was like, I was learning things. I was learning how innovation works, how like startups are, they function, all of those things, and how products are made. So I was like just researching, and I saw the website of the National Innovation Center, and I talked to Dr. Mahip directly. And he was like, like if you want to come and work, you just come. So he like kept it very open-ended. He was like, if you want to work, you just come and work. We don't have any criteria that you have to meet. You shouldn't be this much qualified. You shouldn't have these degrees. You shouldn't have these job experiences. If you want to contribute in some way, then you come. So I started working on the electronics development in general. So there were like lots of projects going on. So I was focusing on the electronic designs for almost all of the projects back then. And slowly like the team grew. Even the other projects, they got new team members. They started scaling up by themselves. And after that, like the co-founders, which we for this product, for Nyano Nani, so we were like a little bit more focused on our product. Then I started like developing on this product.
Okay, really interesting. I love how it was kind of an open environment for you to come to. You want to be an innovator, you could join the center.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in US, there are lots of startups, and there are lots of incubators as well, right?
Yes. Yeah, quite a few in the US.
Yeah. So they if I like remember correctly, they take some equity. There's some financial string attached to it, right? If you want to be incubated, or how is it?
I'm not really. I couldn't speak specifically because I'm sure it varies by organization. But that might be true in some cases, or it might involve more like initial qualifications potentially.
Yeah.
But that's not something that I would be able to speak on very confidently. But what do you enjoy about the work environment? Do you like collaborate? Do you have a lot of collaboration with your colleagues?
Yeah, we did have collaboration with the colleagues itself, and it's challenging because like every day something new comes up. New idea comes up, new technical issue comes up. So it's just like continuously working on fixing that, continuously like growing in those aspects. So I think it's the challenging environment which is like pretty much keeping me here.
Okay, so the environment is always keeping you on your toes. I'm sure with the COVID-19 pandemic, that probably was challenging to keep on developing products and, shift your attention during a time that was very important for the biomedical field. Could you talk to me a little bit about that, or if there were any challenges in developing the Nyano Nani product during that time?
One of the most important thing during that time, what we felt was the supply chain. I think it was disrupted throughout the entire world, right?
Okay.
So there were lots of demands in medical equipment, and there weren't enough manufacturers. So the supply was totally disrupted, and even there weren't frequent flights. There weren't frequent logistics companies were bringing in components. So we had to struggle a bit. So we had to delay one shipment, I think, by a month.
Okay, so that put more pressure on the biomedical field because of the medical demand internationally.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, in other countries, it's very easy to source things, right? There are lots of distributors for good products.
Okay.
For example, even in the US, there are lots of companies who work only on the distribution of the electronics components, very good quality ones. But in Nepal, we pretty much don't have that. So I think it's sort of a lack of demand here.
Okay.
And we were I think the only ones who were trying to import those high quality equipments, the components for our product. So that put a lot of rigidity on us being what do you say? On picking up vendors from all around. So even so that was pretty difficult for us.
Interesting, but that obviously didn't stop your work. Obviously, from what you already explained, the baby warmer project has taken off, and I know that recently it won the People's Choice Award at a biomedical exhibition in the US, correct?
Yes. So it was a university called NeoMed.
Okay.
So it's Northeastern Ohio Medical University.
Okay, interesting.
And just before the competition, we were working with some professors there. We were working with medical students. We were taking data. We were taking feedback from the product which we have already deployed. And we were also doing a market survey. So even though if we have a product there still might be some things which we might haven't discovered, right?
Okay, so you partnered with them to get feedback as well.
Yes,
okay.
From a clinical standpoint, because at the end, we want our product to be effective.
Right.
So we worked with the doctors there, we worked with the professors there, they were so much helpful for us, and they connected us with lots of people. They connected us with the top neonatologist in Nepal, and we organized a workshop where we took feedback from 10 or 11 different neonatologists throughout the Nepal.
Okay.
And we took their feedback, and we knew that these are the things that the clinicians they want in a product. Okay. So now we are we are working on those things, and on the competition side, we did have the medical students also come here. They took data, and according to that data, we submitted it to the competition. So we won the People's Choice Award.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So before just I think 2 weeks prior to the competitions, we are trying to get visas to the US so that we could present our product there. And unfortunately, we were denied the visa. Yeah, we didn't meet some criteria, it seems. And what we did was we shipped the product there.
Okay.
And we shipped the product there, and it arrived in 5 or 6 days in Ohio.
Okay.
And we had a friend, Scott. So he and his teammates, they fixed the entire baby warmer in 45 minutes. So we disassembled the product, we packed it, and they assembled it.
Okay.
So
it was still able to be presented.
Yeah,
That's good.
they assembled in a pretty fast time.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah.
And kind of shows the efficiency of this technology, that it can be obviously quite easily assembled in different
Exactly.
environments.
So that is one of the features of our product. We have made the entire system modular. So if you have to take up, if you have to take a product in a rural area, if you don't have roads, you can just carry it. There are two packages, so each weigh around 20 kilos. So you can just carry it. You can just go to the remote health post. You can just assemble it in a couple of minutes. So we built it, so we knew exactly where what goes. So I was pretty amazed when Scott said we did it in 45 minutes.
So even people who had no involvement in the production of the product or might not be familiar with how it works can assemble it.
We did send him a small assembly instruction.
Okay.
And it was the first assembly instruction which we sent. Because in all of the sites which we have installed, we used to go by ourselves, or we had some of our technicians go for whom we trained as well on. Okay, this is how we are going to install the warmer.
Right.
And so they installed it and they connected it to the power. They displayed the entire operation at the exhibition. So it was just, I think, a week back.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So quite recently. Congratulations again.
Yeah, sure.
How did it feel for you to have this product that you've put a lot of time into, get this recognition?
Yeah, it was pretty overwhelming that time.
Yeah.
I actually zoomed in at 2 a.m. at night. So it was, I think, 3 or 4 p.m. there in Ohio. So I didn't sleep. So I just zoomed in. I was there for any technical questions. So most of the business side, the clinical sides, the Neomed team, they handled it. But if there were any engineering questions, so I was there to answer them. So it was pretty nice seeing the competition, at least virtually. It would have been better if I was there physically, but yeah, no worries.
Okay, that's fantastic. Yeah. So what's next? Do you see the baby warmer technology, expanding or going new places? Or are there new products that you are now starting work on?
There are some features from that workshop which we conducted. There were some features which the clinician said these are important in terms of treating the baby in an ICU environment.
Okay.
So we have taken those into considerations. So I think from August onwards, starting next week, we are going to work on the engineering side of that. So we are trying to integrate those features in our next version.
Okay, so is that adapting the current technology for updated versions of the Nyano Nani?
Yes, the majority of the things are going to remain the same.
Yeah.
Only some mechanical actuation, some things like the bed and all those things, they are going to be optimized slightly.
Okay.
And we are going to maybe by early 2023, we'll roll out a new version of the product.
Wow, congratulations. It's obviously a very important product, and thank you for telling me about it today.
Sure.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add or that you think is important to know about the National Innovation Center?
On the Innovation Center side, we are even focusing on the biomedical innovations in Nepal, because there are tons of people coming up with biomedical related innovations. And we are a little bit short on staff. We are short on enthusiastic people who want to work on building those things.
Okay.
So if we are always open for anyone who wants to join our team. And yeah, that's it.
I thought it was really interesting how you said not a lot of people working on these products in Nepal. So you came back from India and started working at the National Innovation Center.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. Part of it too, that you wanted to come back here and do that work.
Yeah, that was one thing.
I didn't ask it originally because you said they have them on the market already, but they're being developed in Nepal.
Yeah.
But so obviously there are other baby warmers on the market. Why is this one in particular so significant and so, beneficial in Nepal?
So I think there are two most important things in this. One is the product being made in Nepal itself.
Right.
We don't have to go through lots of the taxations which we would face if we imported those things directly. So if our product cost around like $300 or so, for example, and if a similar range product costs $300 in the US or in the India, which is India is one of the strong market competitors for our product right now. So if you bring that $300 worth radiant warmer in Nepal, you'd have to face lots of customs duties and shipping costs. So we sort of bypass all of those things if we make it in Nepal, and we don't like compromise on the quality. So the functionality, entire things, they are all as per the international guidelines on how a radiant warmer should perform, how the functions and features should be. So it's almost like boilerplate stuff. Okay, this has to be in this range, this engineering specs has to be in this range. So we adhere to all those, and we create a functional product. So
but at the same time, it can be affordable.
Yes, it's going to be affordable, and we use local resources, and that is on the import sides. And what we did also observe, like in the remote areas, there were lots of breakdowns on the devices as well. Like they used to malfunction, something used to go wrong.
Oh, really? Okay. From the international products?
Yeah. Once it comes in Nepal, so the importer's job is done.
Right.
And then it comes to the distributor's job. So the distributor installs the device. They provide some training, and you have certain maintenance contracts. If the contract is not there, they don't repair it even if it breaks down.
Okay, so even if you install a product, you might not see it maintained in the long run. If it's a foreign product.
That's a pretty big problem in Nepal.
Okay.
So recently, our people, like our team, they went for assessing the biomedical equipments, and they found lots of materials, like lots of equipments. They were just lying there, which could be repaired very simply, but they weren't trained staff there who could make it. So we have like around 8 or 10 people who know exactly what goes in the radiant warmer. So if we have a breakdown call from anywhere, we can like fix it in a matter of minutes. So one of the value what we provide is a very speedy service.
Yeah, you can communicate with them on the phone, I'm sure, or go in person if you need to.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so those are the things, and affordability. So these things, if you're targeting the low resource environment, so someone who barely has some medical devices which can which they are like operating on a daily basis. If you provide a cheaper solution, they are going to incorporate it very easily. They can use it. They can like reap the benefits off of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is it also important for you to see this innovation and this work happening in Nepal? To see, new innovative technology kind of domestically being developed, and like seeing people get involved in that work?
Yeah, I think one of the things we also thought of it should serve as a motivation that even biomedical devices, even though they are complicated, they to some extent there are some things which could be made in Nepal itself.
Right.
So if other people also put their interests on developing these things, because everyone's working on the information technology, all of those things.
Right.
If there are some people who would like to work on the biomedical engineering side, if they can make something which is produced locally, like our product, it shouldn't be it wouldn't have to be something which is very complicated to do. So even we tried to make a complicated device at first, but then we slowly shifted. We understood the needs. So if other people also, they understood what are the needs and they identified it, and if they made it, it's possible. It's pretty possible in Nepal itself.
And the National Innovation Center is an opportunity for that to occur.
Yes, we are going to provide the innovators who have these types of ideas with funding, with mentoring, with hardware resources. So anything, you name it.
All right, fantastic. All right, so anyone can, become a part of the work that you do, and
yes,
also build those innovations as well.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. That's a great message, and it's a very inspiring organization. So thank you for telling me about it today.
Sure. Thank you.